Yes, yes. All right. Hello and welcome to the latest podcast. I'm your host, JP John Poz from the Two Man Power Trip. Of course, joining me, the former WWF Head Writer, the former WCW Head Writer, WCW World Heavyweight Champion, Vince Russo. Vince, what's going on? How you doing?
What's going on, JP? What's happening this fine day?
Hey, it's been a busy week for you. I know you were out and about. We won't get into it, but you were out and about flying, so
Yeah,
which is
big,
crazy. Yeah.
big, big secret clandestine
Yes.
meeting. I had to zip in and out of LA. God, bro, I don't even think I was there. I wasn't even there for 24 hours. Zipped in, zipped out, John, ready to go with you this morning, man.
I love it. I love it. So we'll start off Q&A style. I know we talked about 97. We talked a little bit 98. Let's go back to 1998, maybe the prime of Vince Russo. But first, when you got hired by WWF to work on the magazine, which WrestleMania was your first WrestleMania? Was
10,
it WrestleMania 8? Oh, it was
10,
WrestleMania 10.
10. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, because interesting. Because somebody had noted here, was it WrestleMania 8, Hogan Sid, WrestleMania 9, Brett versus Yoko? It was actually WrestleMania 10, Brett Yoko.
When I started full time, John, you got to remember that I was a freelance writer starting prior to being hired full time. I
Okay.
was working for the company full time. WrestleMania 10. I attended it at Madison Square Garden. I, man, bro, what year was that? WrestleMania 10.
1994.
Yeah, bro. I may have been freelancing for WrestleMania 9. I'm not exactly sure. Oh my God, I can look at my my Adam Bomb piece because I got my first article. I think it was November. So I think it was the November before, which meant I had to write it months earlier, which meant that I probably started sometime in, I'd say, August of 93.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And hey, WrestleMania 10, Adam Bomb gets squashed by Earthquake. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do. I remember Owen Brett. A lot I remember about that, bro. It was awesome. It was, like I said, WrestleMania 10. Just a monumental WrestleMania at the Garden. My first show as an employee. Yeah, very memorable. I worked the Fan Fest before. Very memorable.
I was there as well. I was about 18 rows back. I love WrestleMania 10. It was one of my
Very
favorites.
nice. Yeah, very nice. Yes.
So, how long did it take you to put the magazine issue together? If you're going to put together one issue, how long did it take you to put it together?
It took. Bro, that was the thing because I had that experience. Because with the magazine, bro, I had to write every single day. Every single day you're writing. So I had that experience when I moved over to TV. So I was already programmed to constantly be writing. So that really helped. But it was nonstop writing. I mean, literally, it was just nonstop writing from this magazine to the next. Then we added the Raw magazine. It just seemed, man, that my whole tenure there was nonstop writing in one form or another.
Isn't it crazy how magazines, if you think about back then, how popular were, the magazines then, and nowadays, man, it's nothing. It's all digital. Isn't that
I
crazy?
know, bro. Yeah, I mean, God, I can go all the way back to Sport magazine and when Sports Illustrated was like the thing. I mean, yeah, bro, magazines were such a part of culture, and they're non-existent today.
So, as far as Vic Venom is concerned, and obviously that was kind of a pen name, if you will, how do you come up with the Vic name, the name itself, Vic Venom, and the character?
Well, bro, that's the problem, man. I mean, John, I was writing 80% of that magazine, and I just couldn't, everything could not be by Vince Russo. You know what I'm saying? So I literally was forced to create characters. We had the Informer, Vic Venom, just so it didn't look like Vince Russo was writing the magazine. That's a very good question, bro. How I came up with that name, I don't really remember. I still think it's a cool freaking name. If I ever open a record store and sell my 4,500 albums, bro, I'm gonna name it Venom Vinyl.
Nice.
I just thought it was a really cool name.
Who was the Informer again? I forget his name. You had mentioned it one time
It
before.
was just the Informer. It was just the Informer.
No, the one from the Post. What was his real name?
The Informer from the Post was it really was Hank Wenneke.
Yes.
But what did he go under again?
He was the Informer.
Was he the Informer? No, I don't think he was the Informer, bro. I was the Informer with the magazine. He had another name that he had more of a wrestling name.
Oh wow, we talked about this too before,
Yeah.
and I remember getting those articles, and I always thought it was Blackjack Brown, but you told me it wasn't Blackjack.
No, it was Blackjack Brown feeding Wenneke. He was feeding Wenneke the information, and then Wenneke used a different name.
Right.
That's how. But it wasn't the Informer, bro, because I used that name for the magazine.
Oh, interesting.
I can't remember what it was now.
Was that kind of a homage to?
No, not really, bro. It was just that I needed to make something out because I couldn't write under my name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you want the character basically to be a heel? Like, was Vic Venom like?
Oh yeah, 1,000%. And bro, Vic Venom was the way for me to say how I really felt about the product. And I could just say, oh no, bro, Vic Venom's a character. He's a heel, and nobody would know the difference. But the reality was that's how I really, really felt about the product at the time.
So as far as Vic Venom, did you want that character to become a heel manager? Like, did you want it to be a TV character?
No, bro. Like I said, honestly, John, I was writing the whole magazine. And I had to make up pen names so it didn't look like I was writing the whole. That's it. I mean, that was the extent of it. That was it.
How did you become the editor of the magazine? How did you kind of become the full-time magazine editor?
Yeah, bro, it was really weird because Ed Raschuti was the editor and he hired me to freelance. I got along with Ed really well. I loved Ed. He was a great man. And man, bro, it seemed like I was there for maybe 6 months before he got fired. And then, as soon as he got fired, I applied for the job. I went in and I interviewed with the publisher, Tom Emanuel, and I got the job, bro. I remember they hired me for $60,000. I remember getting the phone call, and bro, I was so in need of a job at that point, John, that when I got that phone call and it was $60,000 and we had to move to Stanford, it was just like all the money in the world, bro, at that point.
So did you always kind of want to be the magazine editor? Was that like a goal or
no? No, bro. I was looking, John, again, let me just backtrack a little bit. I had 2 mom and pop video stores. John, I would have been doing that forever. I loved it. A good friend of mine was working with me. My parents were working. I loved it, bro. And it was new. Video stores were new. But again, now Blockbuster comes into play. I'm out of business. Bro, I was working at the freaking appliance giant PC Richards to support my family. I mean, bro, I'm college educated, I didn't want to be doing this. And bro, I got to be honest with you, I was like top salesman at PC Richards for like freaking a year. And while I was working at PC Richards, I was freelancing for the WWE magazine. So, bro, I wanted a full-time job. I did not want to be selling appliances.
Right. And just to go back 1 second, because it was killing me. The Slammer, that's it. Hank
Wenneke.
I don't know why I kept thinking the Informer. You're the Informer. The Slammer.
Hank Wenneke was the Slammer who got his information from Blackjack Brown.
Yes, there you go. So do you have a favorite memory of that time, just as far as being the magazine editor?
Bro, I got a very important memory that I will never, ever, ever forget. And bro, he tragically passed away, and he was God, 20 years younger than me. When I went there, the assistant editor was a kid by the name of Louis Gianfrido. Bro, Louis loved freaking wrestling, and Louis was an Italian kid, really, really street smart. He was from New Haven. The boys love Louis. Bro, you know how like today you got these freaking Sean Sapps and Denise Sausalitos? You got these absolute fucking marks. Louis was not a mark. He knew wrestling. He understood wrestling. He had a great relationship with Arnie Skolin. He had a great relationship with Savage. The boys loved him, bro. And he was like so kayfabe and everything, protect the business, protect the business. He was as old school as you get, bro. And bro, back then, John, you had an office and you had 4 walls to your office, okay? And bro, if you had an office, you are allowed to pick out any wrestling posters you wanted on each wall. And they would frame them for you, and then they would come in and put them up on the wall. You know, they did that with everybody, right? So, bro, Louis' office was bare. No posters, nothing. So, you know, I asked him, I said, Louis, you know, the old do the right thing. Remember why there are no brothers on the wall? I said, Louis, why do you have no posters on the wall? Like his office was bare. And he said to me, bro, and I swear to God, here I am. This is 1994, John, when I was hired. What are we, 30 years later now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
He said to me, he said, Vince, every day in the wrestling business can be your last day. And he said, when my last day comes, I want to be able to put my things in a little box and walk out the office. And bro, he was so right about that. And that was a lesson, bro, that I always kept in the back of my mind. And it was just so true in the wrestling business. That is the most important thing, perhaps the best advice I ever got in the wrestling business.
So as far as the magazine and some ideas, were some of the ideas used on television that you created in the magazine as storylines?
Nah, bro, it's the other way around. I was in such disgust of the show, of the product. I was creating my own articles in the magazine that had nothing to do with TV. They weren't going there, you know, secret meetings between Ted DiBiase and Doink the Clown. Like I literally was shooting my own angles in the magazine because I thought the TV product was so bad.
Did you ever relay that message? I know eventually you do, but at that point in time, did you ever relay that to Vince? Like, Vince, come on, man, what's going on here?
Nah, bro, I wasn't in a position to do that, bro. I really wasn't, until that opportunity presented itself when, you know, I had that meeting with Linda McMahon that Vince walked into at the very start. That was really the opportunity to put it all on the table.
When did you stop working for the magazine?
I never did.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Never did, bro. Always had my hand in the magazine, always.
Even until you left in 99?
Yeah. Yeah, I always had my hand in it in some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
What did you think of a WWF Live Wire? Remember that show? What did you think about that?
Oh no, way ahead of its time. Way ahead of its time. The problem was, bro, they had no idea like what to expect. They didn't know what it was going to be. And man, it was great when me and JR got involved. You know, when it originally started between, you know, Michael Hayes and Sonny, I was not a big fan. As a matter of fact, bro, that's how I got, you know, my appearance on the show. Like, bro, I swear to God, it was a Friday afternoon, not afternoon. It was like 6 o'clock at night, you know, and I'm waiting to meet with Vince all day, bro. That's what it was. You've got a 10 o'clock meeting with Vince. And now it's 6 o'clock and you're sitting at your desk like a freaking Mameluke waiting for Beth to call you to say Vince is ready now. So it was a Friday night, bro. It was about 6 o'clock at night. And I had to go up to his office for magazine business. And bro, I was like, oh, and by the way, like that show Live Wire sucks. Not exactly in those terms, a more political way. And bro, I'll never forget, he turned around to me and he said, oh, what? You think you could do better? Bro, completely caught me off guard. That wasn't my intention. You know, I'm just telling you, bro, the show sucks. Like, it's, bro, what am I going to say? I said, yeah, I think I could do better. What am I going to say? Oh, no, John, Sonny could do better than me. I was like,
Right.
yeah, I could do better. Bro, without missing a beat, he said, no problem. Show up at the studio tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, whatever time it was, you're going to be on the show live. And bro, that's exactly how it happened. When I got there, nothing was discussed, not what I was going to talk about, not what I was going to say. And that's how it happened. Bro, so much of the shit that I went through, people don't understand. John, I'm a big believer. I'm a Christian guy. I believe there is no doubt in my mind that from the moment you're born to the moment you die, God has written the entire book for whatever his reason and purposes are. So whatever happens to you in life was well programmed before you ever came on this earth. Everything that happened with me in wrestling, bro, was all kismet. It was all kismet. None of it was pushed by me. None of it was orchestrated by me. None of it was a thought in my head. It just all happened through kismet, bro.
Now, let's talk about 1998. Let's fast forward, really 97, but really focus more on 98 now. So when you become the head writer, how much influence did a guy like Howard Stern have you? How much influence did a guy like Jerry Springer have on you?
A ton, an absolute ton, John, because they were people, you know, bro, when I say this now, people don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. They're freaking clueless. John, this is how hot Jerry Springer was. Ed Ferrara and myself used to write at my house the day before we would get together with Vince. So we would write out, John, the entire show. Bro, Springer was so hot. It would start at 9 o'clock, John. He'd be on one channel from 9 to 10. 10 to 11, the Springer show with a different episode would be on another channel. 11 to 12, it would be on another channel. That's how hot Springer was. And bro, when Ed and I would sit there and watch television, I mean, write the show, Springer was on in the background every single time, like 3 hours of nonstop Springer. And then you add to that, again, bro, you're going back 1993, every day to and from work, Stern is on the radio. So those two were absolutely huge influences in my writing, without a shadow of a doubt.
So you had previously mentioned on another episode possibly getting paid $350,000 a year. Was that given to you as the head writer, or did you have to negotiate? How did that?
Oh no, bro, that came over time. That came in increments. I didn't go from 60,000 to 350. That literally came in increments where, based on my performance and over time, Vince kept increasing my pay. I never had to ask for a raise. But John, I will tell you this, man. John, you know how when, subconsciously when you want something to happen and then you force the hand without even realizing it.
Yep.
John, there was a time right before I left, I was burnt out. I knew I was mentally, physically, emotionally done. I knew it, John. And bro, I went in Vince's office and I said, look, man, I know what you're making. I know what the company is making. I know the business that you're doing. I want $1 million a year. Now, John, I know I did that because I wanted him to say no and either get fired or leave. I know subconsciously that's why I did it. Because, bro, to go from 350 to $1 million, I'm a freaking writer. So, like, I knew. And, John, I will never, ever, ever, ever forget when I had to call Vince and make that phone call in the stopover in Philly because he was expecting me in the Meadowlands the next day. And I had to pick up the phone and say, Vince, I just signed a 2-year deal with WCW. I will not be at TV tomorrow. Bro, the last thing he said to me was, Vince, I was going to give you that $1 million. And I said to him, I said, Vince, it's not about the money. That's when he told me about my kids with the nanny. I said, Vince, this has nothing to do with the money. And then, years later, he would tell Shane I left because of the money till I got to tell Shane myself, no, bro, it had nothing to do with the money. It had to do with getting a nanny to watch my kids.
So when you were the head writer, how stressful was it being the head writer? Or did it not really bother you working under pressure like that?
Didn't bother me at all, John. Didn't bother me at all because, John, Ed and I were in like such a routine. It was, John, it was like a well-oiled machine. We knew what we had to do on Monday. We knew what had to be done on Tuesday. We knew what had to be done on Wednesday. It's me with podcasting now, John. Like I know what I need to do every single day of the week, and that's the schedule I go by. So we were such a well-oiled machine. And, John, let's be honest. We were a well-oiled machine because there were 2 people. There weren't 22. You're not going to have a well-oiled machine with 22 people. There was 2 people. So we stuck to our schedule. The routine was the same every single week. And, John, I never felt pressure. And I remember once sitting in Vince's office and just saying to him, Vince, and again, this to me, this is a God Kismet thing. I remember saying to Vince, I don't know where this shit comes from. It just comes. And John, even when I write Rocky Mountain Pro today, John, I like right now, bro, I got to write 6 shows. So I swear, John, I will sit at this desk and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to write about? John, within 30 minutes in front of me on a piece of paper, handwritten, I will have the entire format of the show in 30 minutes. To this day. And like I said, bro, that's why I never wanted to. I never had a dream or a desire to be in the wrestling business. I never had a dream or desire to be a head writer. But that's why I was put in that spot. I don't know why. I don't know God's plan and God's ideas. But to this day, I can sit down and write a wrestling show in 30 minutes. Then John, I'll go to the computer and now I get into more detail, everything involved in the show. That process is a little longer, but as far as the nuts and the bolts of a show, I could do that in about 30 minutes.
Wow. In that same vein, how are you able to write for basically every wrestler? Like, how does everybody get material? Because before you, that wasn't really so much the case. So how were you able to do that?
Yeah, John, because I had such respect for JR. And John, I knew, and I cannot say this today, absolutely not. When JR handed over a roster, I knew every single person on that roster deserved to be on it. They earned a spot. So these were the most elite wrestlers in the world. So now it is my duty and it is my obligation to support every one of these people as much as I possibly could because they all earned their spot. Bro, JR was not hiring friends. JR was not doing anybody any favors. If their name was on the roster, they earned a spot on that roster. So now, like I said, bro, it was up to me to give them all the tools they needed in order to succeed.
Is it a conscious effort to give everybody a storyline? Because obviously
Absolutely.
before you, there was no conscious effort.
Yeah.
Is it like I have to give this guy
John,
storyline?
I do the same thing today. I swear to God, I got a list of baby faces, I got a list of heels, and I got to get all these people on the show. And you know me, I'm not going to get them on the show by just booking them in a cold match. I mean, that's not what I do. I got to get all these people on the show, and all of these people in some way, shape, or form have to have some kind of a story. I still do it to this day.
Did you ever give a wrestler a bad storyline as a punishment? Would you ever do that as a
No,
writer?
God, no. That's no, bro. That never in a million years. Never, because that's a reflection on me. Never in a million years.
What about Vince McMahon? Would he do that?
Prior to me, bro, I would say Vince McMahon would put characters on wrestlers as a punishment without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, Terry Taylor's like the perfect
Red Rooster,
example.
yeah.
He would definitely do that. But bro, I just got to tell you, man, and I don't give a shit whether people believe this or not. When Ed and I were writing the show, bro, and we were cooking on all four burners, bro, Vince did not get involved. He did not. People can think, oh, he was my editor and this and that. He did not get involved. And you think about it for a second, bro. The company was so hot during the Attitude Era. Everybody wanted to be in business with the WWE. Do you know how freaking busy Vince McMahon was in his office? He was so busy, bro, with the day-to-day of his company. He was not sitting there writing a freaking wrestling show. So that's why, once we started doing these numbers, he had the absolute faith in everything Ed and I, gave to him. Like I said, would he tweak things? Would he add the nuances? Absolutely, without a doubt. Never offered storylines, never changed any major angles, never changed any main events. He let us do our thing.
What did you think about, let's just say, a wrestler maybe you didn't like? Was there ever any wrestler you wanted to see get fired? Did that ever go
No,
through your mind?
never, bro. Never. That's the God honest truth. Bro, I can honestly tell you, back then, if we're talking about the WWE, there wasn't a wrestler on the roster I did not like. There wasn't. There wasn't one I did not like.
We've talked about Sunday Night Heat before, how you wrote Heat. Sometimes you and Hayes would just get together and write Heat. What did you think of Heat?
Whoa. Hayes.
Oh, no? No, he
Never.
never? Oh, no, never? He never put the matches together? Oh, okay.
No, that came from me and Ed. Never.
Oh, so Sunday Night Heat is you guys too.
Absolutely. Now, if you're talking about agenting, he might have agented some stuff.
Oh, okay.
But he had nothing to do with the writing of that show.
So Heat is you as well. Just you and Ed doing the same thing. Just keep rolling. Okay.
Yep.
What about Superstars?
That was a show in syndication, bro. So no, we were not involved in that show. But I'll be honest with you, bro. More than anything, that was probably just JR booking the matches for that show.
Did you like the weekend shows? I mean, it's kind of like the history of wrestling. Saturday morning, Sunday. They had Did you like the weekend, or did you feel like there was no storyline progression and it's not really important?
Yeah, no, that's how I felt. I'm not a fan of that. I'm just not.
When you're scripting a show, I know maybe every show could be different, but how many matches, let's say you're doing Raw, how many matches need to be or should be on Monday Night Raw? Let's say,
that's hard to
it's a 2-hour show.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to say, bro. It just really depends on what's going on. But I could tell you now, I write Rocky Mountain Pro is an hour. It's a 1-hour show, John. In that 1 hour, there'll be 4 matches. That's it. I write 4 It's 7 segments. The show's 7 segments. And there's 4 matches in that 1-hour show.
Okay. How about pay-per-views? How many matches should be on a pay-per-view? Is that like 7? Is it 10?
I'd say, bro, honestly, again, we still do pay-per-views. I would say, to me, the number is 8. I think 8 matches is a good number to have for a pay-per-view.
What did you think? Let's talk a little bit about Goldust here. What did you think about Goldust and pairing him up with Marlena? What did you think about that? Because obviously it's his real life wife, but what did you think about putting her on?
Yeah, that was not me pairing them up. They were paired up when Vince brought him in. Yeah, she they were great. I mean, she was great for his character. Again, John, here's the old Vince takes credit for everything. No, they were a package when I started writing for them, and it was the yin and the yang, and they were a great duo, bro.
Obviously, she's in the business before WWF. She's
Yeah,
Alexandra York, the York
right,
Foundation, WCW. So, I mean, she
right.
obviously knew what she was doing on camera.
Right. But I got to tell you, though, to be honest with you, John, I was not really that familiar with her work. I really wasn't. I wasn't familiar with everything she did at WCW. So when I started with her at the WWE, like I was really starting fresh with her.
Goldust, the characters, very unique, very different, very weird. Like we talked about this before with Vince's idea of it and old Hollywood and stuff like that. Was the idea of him to get a lot of heat by being gay or acting gay? Was that the idea behind it?
Bro, I got, again, Vince Russo takes credit for everything.
Yes, he does.
God, bro, that was all Dustin. Like that, I just went with it. I just went with it. When I would give, like, bro, I will say this. I wrote every single word for that character. Like Dustin never ad-libbed anything. Bro, we were even on Conan, and freaking Conan let me write that entire segment for him and Goldust. That was one of the highlights of my life, bro. This is when Conan's on top of the world, and his producer said, Vince, why don't you write this segment? And I was like, holy shit, I would give him the dialogue, and with his delivery, I just went with it. Like I just went with it. So it was never, ever, ever a gay thing, bro. He was just effing with people. I mean, that's what he was doing. That was the gimmick. And bro, like that even worked, because I remember like Scott Hall didn't want to work with the character. And it was like, but bro, when he would deliver those promos, I just went with it, bro. So his personality, man, really steered the ship of that character.
You think he's better off on his own, or did he need a manager? They did work well together.
Oh yeah, no, he didn't need her, but she definitely added to him without a shadow of a doubt.
What was the payoff going to be for GTV if Goldust and or Tom Green had been behind it? So remember the GTV.
Yeah. Oh God, bro. I don't really think there was a payoff, man. I think it was going to be a continued storyline of finding out shit that we weren't supposed to find out. I don't think there was ever a payoff. The payoff was I wanted to get Tom Green, but there was never an end to that story.
Do you know why Goldust left in June of 1999? Do you remember why he ended up leaving? Was it maybe substance abuse issues, or what was going
I
on with
would,
him?
yeah, John, I would guess that. I mean, I would really, really guess that, but I don't 100% know.
So, as far as Triple H being the aristocrat, remember we talked about that before, and
Ugh.
obviously he changed his character. Why do you hate that character? He seemed to play it well, but do you think it's just passe for the time
Yeah,
period?
it was just a gimmick. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, bro? The way he dressed. Remember he used to do
Yes, yes.
that bull. Ugh. And bro, he played it great. It had nothing to do with his performance or anything like that. I just thought it was like an unbelievable character, bro. You can play an aristocrat, but again, bro, the way he dressed with the gimmick,
Old school, yeah.
even the name Hunter Hearst Helmet, like the whole thing was just way too gimmicky for me.
Do you prefer wrestlers who can play a random character given to them to show their acting ability, or do you prefer somebody whose character was their real life job? Example, maybe Bob Holly, who was really a race car driver, since
Yeah,
like it's an extension of them. So do you
that
prefer a guy who can act or a guy that's real?
well, the other way, the Bob Hollies, bro, like that's easy. Like that is really, really easy. Creating a character like a Val Venus or like a Goldust or a character that's nothing like their personalities, that's much, much more difficult to do. So I definitely would prefer somebody that had, personal traits that I could hang my hat on.
What do you think of gauntlet matches? Do you like gauntlet matches, just as far as the gimmick match?
Bro, I love gimmick matches and anything gimmick match. To this day, bro, I write ridiculous gimmick matches. I'm a fan of gimmick matches.
Do you have a favorite?
Um,
Viagra on a pole? No.
no. Pole matches were not my favorite
I know,
gimmick
yeah, I know.
matches.
But that it always gets associated with it. Yeah.
I know. John, I don't know if I really have a particular favorite. I just like when a wrestling match gives us a different look. Like no matter what it is, I just like when it gives us a different look.
What was your favorite version of Crush? Obviously, you booked him quite a bit. The Demolition Crush, the Surfer Dude Crush, the Foreign Sympathizer Crush, or Jailbird Crush, the DOA Crush.
Chronic Crush, bro. Chronic Crush. None of the when I was at WWE, all that he wasn't on my roster. Crush when I was the head writer. I did not work with him there at the WWE. He kind of left as I was coming in. So I worked with Chronic Crush that I thought him and Brian Adams were freaking great.
Yeah. Yep. So the WWF went to England for pay-per-views. Obviously, we've talked about this before at length as far as some of those, but are there countries you think that they should have gone to that they never went to? Like, I know it's kind of out of your purview, but did you ever think like, oh, why don't we go here? How come they don't go there? Like, were there countries they've done?
I preferred they never left the country, bro. So no,
Really? Okay.
I wasn't thinking that way.
So you don't like, as far as expanding, as far as the company like worldwide, it doesn't really appeal to you, doesn't matter to you?
Nah.
There are the World Wrestling Federation after all, so they got to be all over the world, right?
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
true. Yeah.
The World Wrestling
The
Federation.
Worldwide Wrestling Federation.
Yes. Who decided on pay-per-view names? Did you have any input on pay-per-view names?
The pay-per-view names at the WWE came from creative services. Creative services would give us a bunch of names to choose from. So they, like I said, bro, they were the ones that came up with DX. You know,
So you had some input,
huh?
You had some input?
They would give us a list of names, and we would usually, use one of those names or maybe tweak one of those names. But that came from them, bro. Another thing, Vince Russo takes credit for.
Yes, of course. Do you like the established pay-per-views being the same name every year, or do you like giving them different names? For example, Fully Loaded could be July, but one year was Canadian Stampede in July. Do you like it being the same every year, or do you want to switch it up?
I like routine, bro. I really do. I like routine, and I like to know what January is, February. I'm a structured guy, bro. I like working within a structure.
Royal Rumble 1998. I don't know if you'll remember this, but how did the Undertaker get out of the casket before Kane set it on fire? Do you remember what the
bro?
story
I
was?
swear to God, again, the great Richie Curtis. I never asked Richie how he did any of his tricks. I never did, bro. I have no idea how that stuff was done.
It's like asking a magician, how did you do that? You can't, right?
He was a magician. I mean, his trade was Richie Curtis was a magician. That was his trade.
Wow.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. And I never asked him his secrets because bro, here's why, John. Here's how it went down, bro. They're figuring all that out leading up to the pay-per-view, and then the day of the pay-per-view, they're making sure all that works smoothly. Bro, I'm so busy working with the boys. You know what I'm saying? That like I'm nowhere near that while it's going on. So by the time it happens, I'm sitting there and watching it on a monitor just like everybody else, and I never really knew how he did, 99% of the shit.
You didn't remember on a previous episode when we were talking about the Rumble why Jeff Jarrett randomly attacked Owen Hart during the entrance, but he wants to know here why. Would you give your best guess on why, storyline wise, in '98 Jarrett would be attacking Owen? Were you going to build something or lead to something there with
Bro,
those two?
I can't remember that at all. I don't, you know, I obviously I could make something up. Bro, I don't remember that at all.
Owen was a babyface. Jarrett attacked him as a heel. I don't know. Maybe going to lead to something. It doesn't lead to anything really, but it could have.
Yeah. I have no idea.
Speaking of Jarrett, how did you feel about the pairing of Jeff Jarrett and Deborah, and how did that come about?
God, again, man, we just wrote it that way. You know, I thought it was a great pairing. I mean, as I watched the Attitude Era for Russo's brand, I'm kind of into the Jarrett Deborah era now. You know, it's happening now with Owen, and yeah, bro, I thought they worked very, very well together.
Did you know that they were together in WCW?
God, I was going to answer that with, were they? So the answer is no. The answer.
Okay, yeah. So I was going to say maybe that's kind of, you saw the chemistry because they worked well there.
Yeah, maybe I did, bro. Like again, man, I can't exactly remember. And if they were, then maybe Jeff suggested it. Like I can't. Yeah,
remember. She was in the middle of the Mongo Jeff feud when they had the feud. So she was right in the middle of it.
I never saw that Mongo Jeff feud.
If Steve Austin had agreed to wrestle Jeff Jarrett, would you have booked champion versus champion match for a Raw or a pay-per-view? Like IC champ versus world champ. Would you have booked that as like a pay-per-view match?
I think it would have been a pay-per-view match. Yeah. I think it would have been a pay-per-view match. And it would have been a great freaking match too.
Yep. And call me crazy, but I always thought Jarrett was a lot better than Triple H. And I felt like he should have got that spot over Triple H. I might be crazy on that one, but
well, you know, again, I don't argue with that at all, bro, but he was never going to be able to work with Austin. So, you know, there's that's like a stopgap. You know what I'm saying, bro? It's like, okay, we know he can never go that far. So what are you going to do? You know?
You think Jarrett could have been WWF champion?
I think so. I do. Bro, Jeff, like I said, man, what great heel, could get baby faces over huge. Great worker, told stories in the ring, could cut a promo, and never, ever got hurt. Bro, that's every tool that you need. Like his game didn't lack anything, bro. I mean, you know, we just checked off a lot of boxes. Jeff's game did not lack anything, man. And that's why, like I said, when I got him over at WCW and there was no ceiling, that's why he was the WCW champion.
Hey, and going back and watching these a lot, obviously to cover for the show, besides Vince and like The Rock, he's the most hated heel. I mean, he's got so much heat. It's like it's
bro,
ridiculous.
Here's what people don't understand, bro. I swear to God, and people gotta understand. Like at my age, John, I don't give a shit about heat. Me getting heat. That's why I say what I say. What do I care what you think,
right,
bro? New Yorkers, when it comes to that Southern accent, they effing hate you. I don't know, bro. I don't know if it goes back to the Civil War. I don't know what it goes back to, but when you're a New Yorker and you hear that Southern twang, like that person is a pussy. And that's, you know, Jeff was the absolute epitome of that, bro. And that's why it worked.
I was just watching Call Me Ted, which is the 6-part Ted Turner documentary. He was saying when he went to this, I mean, this is years ago, college, but he said it always rang true. When he went up to Brown University, he goes up to Rhode Island. He's like, everybody hated me because of my Southern voice. You know, they just didn't like me. They hated my voice. Well, it's interesting,
bro. I swear to God, in the history of the wrestling business, there was only one dude that got over with a Southern accent. And it was because of the way he looked. And people will bring up, oh, Austin had a Southern accent. No, bro. Austin was from Texas. Austin, as a New Yorker, I'm telling you, that's not a Southern accent. Then they'll say, no, bro. Dusty did not have a Southern accent. Jeff Jarrett had a Southern accent. Only one guy, bro, in the history of the business got over with a Southern accent. Who was that?
Hillbilly Jim.
That's good, bro, but I wouldn't consider like I'm talking like main event. Yeah, you know, Hillbilly Jim was a great character.
Yeah.
I'm talking main event.
Not sure.
Sid.
Oh, okay.
And that's because he looked the way he did. You're not going to look at Sid and say this guy's a pussy.
Right.
You know, the guy was a freaking freak. So he got away with that, bro, because you looked at Sid and you're like, bro, Southern accent or no Southern accent, this guy will freaking kill me. But outside of Sid, bro, you will never find anybody on the highest level who got over with a Southern accent.
So Ric Flair was very close to coming to WWF at Unforgiven 1998. So the fall of 98, because of his falling out with Eric Bischoff and WCW and all that stuff with his contract. Were you told about this at all?
Yeah, I do remember this, bro, because I do remember Cornette was the kind of in-between. And Cornette was the one that was talking to Flair at the time when there was a possibility. So, yeah, I definitely remember that.
What would you have done with Nature Boy if he returned to the company?
You know, bro, I don't know, John, because I'm not going to waste my brain power thinking about that till it happens, because you know how wrestling is, bro.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they all the talk and then it never happens. So like, I wasn't going to waste a second of my time thinking about that till it happened.
Ed Ferrara joins the WWF June of 1998. How did he end up getting hired?
That was great, bro, because like I said, John, two things. Vince made it clear to me, and he said his exact words to me were, Vince, number one, I don't want to be writing the TV anymore. Number two, I don't have time to be involved in the TV anymore. We got to find somebody to work with you. And Ed came recommended by Bonnie Hammer, because Ed had written Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Weird Science, which were both on the USA Network. So Ed came out to a show and kind of shadowed me. And bro, I'll never forget, man, before Ed was even hired, and John, you will know this, there was a big match, and I think it involved a cage, and I think it involved Kane. And Ed, who wasn't employed by the company yet, it might have been his first day on the job, he suggested something. It was a pay-per-view, bro. And he suggested something, whether it was in the finish of that match or during that match. He suggested something to me, which I thought was brilliant. And we wound up doing it. And right after that set of TVs, I just said to Vince, you definitely hire this guy.
Could you have been successful without Ed?
Not as successful, no.
What's your favorite idea that Ed had came up with creatively?
Bro, I got to be honest with you, John. The dynamic was I was the big picture guy throwing out all the crazy shit, and Ed was the guy looking through the magnifying glass. You know, will it work? What questions need to be asked? What are the flaws? He was more, I was more big picture. He was more of the detail. So that's why the dynamic works so well.
King of the Ring 98, which is kind of what you're alluding to with Ed there. Pre-show match, Headbangers versus Takemichinoku and Kaientai. It goes 6 minutes, 44 seconds. Just when you're looking at pre-show matches, do you pay any attention to this? Do you have any memory of pre-show matches? Like, do you put any effort into the pre-show matches? Just, I know sometimes creatively they do tie into the show, but Headbangers and Kaientai, did that?
No.
And anything?
No, that's that again, bro. That probably was JR.
So it's not like a creative thing, like, oh, what am I going to do with the Headbangers before the pay-per-view and Kaientai? No? So not unless they're on the pay-per-view.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think the King of the Ring winner should get a title shot like Royal Rumble? I know sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. Do you think that that's a good, story piece?
I definitely do, bro, because the whole King and Scepter freaking, again, that goes back to Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Like, what a stupid King Mabel, and they even did it with Selena Vega. Oh God, bro, it's so freaking stupid.
Was Ken Shamrock the right guy to win the King of the Ring?
Yeah. Bro, Ken Shamrock could have been the WWE champion, but whatever was going on with him in the office, with wanting to go for ultimate fighting, like whatever, that got in the way of a lot of stuff.
You think Billy Gunn was the right choice as far as a King of the Ring winner?
Probably not.
Was there ever a Steve Austin versus Billy Gunn planned main event feud? Because in '99, if you fast forward just a little bit, Billy Gunn wins the King of the Ring, Austin's the champ. Was that ever planned? Billy Gunn, Steve Austin?
Bro, if it just like all that, a lot of that Billy Gunn stuff came from Vince. Vince was a huge advocate for Billy Gunn. But again, bro, from where I'm sitting, this is another guy with a Southern accent, man. And bro, I will be the first guy to say, and I say this all the time, bro. 30 years later, whatever it is, Billy Gunn was the greatest athlete I ever worked with. A blue chip athlete. Billy Gunn could excel at anything. Bro, he was a freaking bull rider. But I saw Billy Gunn play basketball, bro. Unbelievable basketball player. This guy was the greatest athlete I ever worked with. But again, the promo side, unlike Jeff, there were just parts of his game that were missing.
So before Royal Rumble 1998 comes about, Stone Cold Steve Austin forfeits the Intercontinental title. Then, of course, he wins the Royal Rumble match. Do you like that creative decision? And what was the thought behind that decision? Like, he's going to forfeit the title to go after the world title? Is that what he's doing? Like, why forfeit?
What did he forfeit, bro?
The Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, that's why. That's why he wanted the main belt. Bro, back then, it's not that way today because there's so many freaking belts, and now there's rings, bro. Now you get a ring. Back then, the emphasis was always on the title. The title was the most important thing. So why would a guy like Steve Austin want the Intercontinental title, which was really like a second-rate title? Bro, like if you're a younger guy working your way up, that's a big prize, the Intercontinental title. For Steve Austin, it's not. So, of course, bro, he would want the main title. So I have no problem with that.
Okay, with him not losing, I guess keeps it strong. Keeps him a lot stronger that way.
Absolutely.
If he doesn't lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I know you had ratings to deal with, so I mean, obviously, it's a different ball game during the Attitude Era and Steve Austin as far as being the champ. But do you think he could have been champion for a year straight? Diesel was champ for a year straight. Randy Macho Man Savage, of course, year straight. Hogan champion, for a year straight at one point, but really 4 years straight before that. But do you think that Austin could have been champ for a year or no?
Bro, the only thing that would have kept them from being champ for a year was his health. That's the only thing. The knees, I mean, that would have been the only thing. If he was 100% healthy, without a shadow of a doubt, we could have written a year straight, had no problems with it whatsoever. But Austin got banged up quite a bit.
When you look at that, is it the sign of the times though? Like a year-long title run, would that work in the Attitude Era?
I think so. I definitely think so, bro. But like I said, between his knee issues and between the stingers, and then, he was dabbling, in Hollywood there a bit with Nash Bridges and all that stuff. It would have been difficult to do.
When you look at it too, the title changes and stuff, I mean, that's ratings. Like he loses the title at King of the Ring 90, that he wins the title on Raw, he beats Kane, huge rating. It just popped. Is that also why, you do title
Absolutely.
changes?
That's part of must-see TV, bro. That's part of must-see TV. Like the people that say, "Oh, bro, you were at WCW and the title changed 97 hands, 97 times." Bro, the title the title can change at any time. At any time, bro. If this were a shoot, the title could change at any time. So I don't care how many times I flip the belt. If this were a shoot, the title could change any freaking time. And that's part of must-see TV.
What did you think of Stone Cold as the champion?
Great. Absolutely great. Absolutely. Didn't need it, but it was part of the story because the championship, bro, was Vince's property. So that's a huge part of the story. It's Vince's property. That's who Vince has to promote, and that's the hood ornament of the company. So with the title was a huge part of that storyline. He did not need. He would have been just as over without the title.
Oh, it just was great because Vince, this is my company. You can't be like the
Exactly,
flag bearer of my company.
exactly, bro. Yeah.
So as far as Austin as champion, would you say he was the best champ of the Attitude Era? I mean, I would say he's got to be, right? I mean, he was
Yeah, he's
probably the
got to
best.
be. Yeah, he's got to be. Yeah.
What did you think of the Smoke and Skull title, and how did that come about?
Oh my God, bro. I'm not really refresh my memory a little bit, John.
So he literally created his own belt. It's called the Smoke and Skull. It's literally a skull and there's smoke coming out, but it's the world belt.
They wanted to sell it.
So did you like that though? Like creatively, like, oh, this guy's got his own belt?
Yeah, bro. If it made Austin more money, I was fine with it. If it made Austin more money, if it made the company more money, I had no issue with that. Bro, the only time I had an issue, like, bro, I swear, like, you know, I remember, bro, at TNA, they didn't want to break up. Dixie didn't want to break up Beer Money because they were the #1 merch seller. Like now that I got a problem with. I'm not. You can't stifle creative because these guys are selling T-shirts. Him having his own belt had no impact whatsoever on creative.
And you actually use it creatively. Like Rock wants the title, Austin wants the title. Like not only want it, they like want to steal it and take it from him.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, so that was fine. It worked.
All right, we'll continue this on a part 4, believe it or not, Vince. Well, we're going to continue on with this Q&A the next time.
This is so much better than having to go over these shows, Larry. Larry, let's do Q&As, bro, every week. Please, man.
We've got plenty of more questions, no doubt about it.
Let's drag this out over. Can we drag it out a year like Austin is champ? Great.
Yes, I like that. Yes.
Thank you, John. Great.
So let's wrap this up. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. Vince, where can everybody follow you?
Guys, get your free week of the brand. It costs you bro, whenever anything is free, take it. Nothing in this world is free. This is free. If you've never been a Patreon member, go to patreon.com/Russo TWC. Grab your free week of the brand. It costs you nothing.
All right. Thank you, Vince. Thank you, everybody out there for listening. See you right back here next time for the next podcast. Have a good one, folks.